Oh, Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus.
Wait, is that mine?
Like,
I don't have anything in there. No, my cup.
No, he's like, no, but I want my shit.
Well, we can have both.
Oh, damn it.
What do you want? Where's mine? Oh, is that mine?
Is this yours?
This is mine.
This is definitely my
I brought
cup.
mine down.
I did too.
Oh, wait.
I was like,
This
this is
has
definitely.
lipstick on it.
Oh shit.
You've been drinking out of my shit.
What's in that? I've been drinking my shit.
Oh, this is water.
This,
I just put it
yeah,
in
that's
there.
mine. She been drinking my shit.
Chris, how much you got?
Exactly. Leave it alone.
No condensation on the bottom.
Alright, for a condensation. Alright, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and start.
Hey guys, it's Olivia. Are you following us on Instagram? We're at Culture Clubb ATL on Instagram. Check us out. I know you watching.
What if it's too hard?
I'm gonna push through.
What if it's too rough?
I'm gonna push through.
What if it's too tough?
I'm gonna push through.
What if you're just too young?
That's not true.
What if you're not good enough?
That's not true.
Why? Because
I can do anything I put my mind to.
I believe in you.
Shut up.
Believe in yourself.
Hey, hi.
Tell me why.
We push through anything we put our minds to.
What's going on, world? Thank you so much for tuning in to A Connection TV, the one channel on YouTube where we actually adopt similar connections despite our differences, and welcome to Culture Clubb. Like we do on every episode, we are going to reintroduce ourselves from our right to our left and say your name and what is one thing that you understand. It could be about life, it could be about people, one thing that you understand.
My name is David, and one thing that I understand is people will mess up. People will disappoint you. People will let you down. And you have to gauge from the impact of whatever your disappointment is with them, whether or not you can kind of continue on with them, let bygones be bygones.
Hi, my name is Levi Eric. One thing that I understand is how to drive.
I am Wesley, and one thing that I do understand is why Lorena Bobbitt did what she did.
Oof.
But she didn't have to throw it upon the forest, so.
My name is Olivia, and one thing I understand is that I am constantly learning, and my level of understanding today may not necessarily be that tomorrow. It's true.
So worldly.
I'm Laz. I understand that you are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choice.
Ooh, that was deep.
That is good.
I like that.
My name is Christian, and I understand that there are infinite possibilities, that there are so many things that you can do, and it's really up to you and what you're willing to sacrifice to go after any of those infinite possibilities. It's up to you how great you want to be, how big you want to be. The world is yours. It's really up to you. That's what I understand.
If you are just tuning into Culture Clubb and this is your first time ever hearing about Culture Clubb, someone said, hey, maybe you should check this out. The concept of Culture Clubb is kind of like, let me just say, it's the gay version of The View or The Real, where you have a panel of individuals, diverse as we all are, that are bold and blunt and able to articulate their opinion in a non-disrespecting way. At least that's what we try to do all of the time. We strive to encourage your voice to be heard and to be loud and proud for whatever representation you may have for your life currently. And so that is the purpose of Culture Clubb. I want to dance on the topic of how many mistakes are you allowed to make in a friendship or a relationship. Let that settle in for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. And let's start with David.
friendship or a relationship. It's gonna sound really petty, but
I mean, we expect that.
I'm talking. I'm gonna say for me personally, it's two. Friendship comes with a lot of trust, and so does a relationship. So it's like once it's already been established that, okay, this pops up and I don't like this because X, Y, and Z, for somebody to go and do that exact same thing again and they don't really have a strong explanation for why, that's kind of always going to be an issue with me. So I'm not going to know if I could proceed with that friendship or relationship from that point. Two is safe to say.
How can you even put a number on this? Like, I can't put a number on this. And there's so many varying degrees of mistakes, types of relationships. There's just too much to even. It's a case by case basis, and I can't number it.
So I put the how many in the sentence or in the question because I often hear, well, you've known this person for so long. Should you just let it go? Y'all have known each other for so long. Why? I don't get it. So that's why I put the how many times does someone let you know that they're not committed to the friendship or the relationship by doing you wrong or making a mistake, whatever title you want to put on it, before you're just like, okay, I just need to distance myself. Can I honestly put a number on that? No, but I'm very stuck in my ways to where it's like you only really have one time to fuck up. And I mean one time in the sense of doing something toward me that affects me. I think oftentimes we hold someone accountable to a certain standard when they're just being themselves, and we can't get mad. Like, you can't get mad at someone for being themselves. You need to figure out if this is the type of person that you want to be around or can be around, and let them be themselves. I think that's the biggest thing that the biggest takeaway that I have for dealing with my friends or getting into a relationship is figuring out if I can accept you for being you, and then moving on past that. But don't do anything that's going to directly affect me in a negative way. And so that's the kind of mistakes that I'm talking about.
So for me, I was in agreement with what Levi was saying as far as I can't put a number on the mistakes. What I heard you just saying, that I'm going to kind of switch kind of between the two. So what I hear from what you're saying, Wesley, no, I don't. Too many mistakes of the same thing. Because after the first time, like, if you did something to me and then you did it again, that's not a mistake, that's a choice. Like, you chose to do it the second time. The first time it was a mistake, the second time it was a choice. So that's different than, okay, you did a mistake over here and then something that has nothing to do with the price of, tea in China, then it's a mistake over here. Those are different because they're all different varying mistakes. But the same mistake over and over again, that ain't a mistake. That's a choice. So there's only one of those that I allow. Because the first one is, you didn't know, let's discuss this. The second one was, I can't fuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I am Larry, and I agree with Wes where it's like, it depends on the person. I really think I have to look at the person and who they are to see if they're a good fit for me, more so than a mistake, because I can't number it just because I might tell you once, but it's like, if this is a totally new idea for you or interaction for you, you might not get it right away. So it might be it might be, for me, I'm just saying, it might be a learning curve just depending on what it is. It is, and I'm serious.
So if I took your man, or if I slept with your husband, I slept with your husband one time,
right?
And then we had a discussion about it, and I did it again.
Then I have some choices to make. So I have to say, like, okay, well, is my husband better off with you than me? Wow. And if that's the case, that's
very progressive.
That's you, and you go be happy, and you have them, and y'all can do that, and I can move along. I mean, not saying that it wouldn't be hurt or disappointment, but at the same time, it's like two people are making choices. It's a reason why you're making these same choices, and that I know it's hard for people to say, but there is some ownership of allowances or whatever that happens in situations, like there is some ownership where it's like, I shouldn't have shared like that freaky thing we did the other night, or I shouldn't have I shouldn't have let y'all. It's not necessarily your fault, but I'm just saying it's some. I just feel like I don't know. I
agree with where Larry was going, and take it a step further. I don't feel like there's a number of mistakes, because I'm getting to a point where I feel like there really aren't any mistakes. There are only lessons in how you respond to the instances that people. What happened?
Wes feels some kind of way about that.
He wanted to hit his buzzer, but he put his.
No, I had to rest my head. That's all I was doing. I was just resting my head. I didn't say anything. They interrupted you. I didn't interrupt you.
As I said, I'm getting to a place where I feel like there are no mistakes, only lessons. And when it comes to what people do and how they like, when it comes to like relationships or things that you're able to share with that person, like how they respond and whether they can hold water, they can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how they're gonna be. That's their disposition, and I'm pretty sure that is independent of our friendship. And I think that people who can't hold water, period. People who are combative, period. People who will step outside of a friendship to go after that person's man will probably do that in other situations. And so I try to look at that as a lesson to figure out how can this person exist in my life versus if they've actually fucked up and made a mistake. If that person is a mistake maker, then that is the lesson that I need to take away from that. It wasn't a mistake for me to deal with them because I am, independent. My self-identity, is independent of what you do or what I allow you to do. The only thing I can do is learn from the things that I've done, like as far as the people that I chose to keep around me.
So I will say that it is an amazing ability to be able to look at every situation like that. I think because I know that you are human, I wonder, is he really able to look at every situation as a lesson? When does he allow himself to be human and show emotion and care and or concern before he realizes the good and take away the bad and realizes the good? I think everybody, in order to get over something at one point in their life and that experiences, can take away the good and the bad. But just last night I went through this emotional breakdown because I've been let down by, particularly one particular person that I really, 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 really care about, and then another person that I could potentially really, really care about. And my question to Olivia, because she was the receiver of my breakdown, was, why is this okay? Why do people put themselves in the space to hurt other people, especially when you've built, at least talking about the friendship part, when you've built a strong net or a strong foundation of a friendship? How is that okay? And so with that quality that you have to just simply look at the situation and be like, okay, I realize this and I realize that, and then I can move on. I wish that I can do that. I wish that I could just be like, okay, whatever, lesson learned, move on. But baby, last night I was ready to kill and murder somebody, and she was like, okay, boo-boo, I'm gonna need you to step away from the ledge. Step away from the ledge, like, come on now, bring it in because XYZ. And after the conversation, I was able to be like, okay, I get it, but I shouldn't have even gotten to that point. And I guess one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up this topic is, when is enough is enough? When do you feel, or when do you say to yourself, person out there, that damn, this is a great friendship or a great relationship that I'm in. Let me not hurt this person that has shown me nothing but care and concern, and let me make sure that I operate in a space to where Levi's feelings is going to be preserved, or to where Olivia's feelings is going to be preserved. Why do we as a people think that it's okay to make mistakes and then hurt? And I'm only speaking to the instance of whether or not, let's just say, that you come from a very abusive, let's just say you come from a very abusive household, And so then you're with your friend, and your friend then tells you about how he's abusing his kids or how he's handling his kids or whatever. I know that concept or that topic affects you. Why would I even bring you in that same arena? Am I making sense, so to speak? Yes, no? Do you get where I'm trying to go with it?
Are you talking directly to me?
Directly to you. Like, or anybody that's hearing me.
So there's a lot of things that are at play here. So first things first, no, it's not okay for people to go out and hurt others. And sometimes we don't even realize that they're doing what they are doing. So there are a lot of times where people are legitimately making mistakes because they don't see themselves. They don't see what they are doing to others and how they are impacting others and how they're making others negatively impacted. So to what Chris and Larry are trying to say, I understand exactly what you're saying. I aspire to get to a place of just zen. I'm not there yet because there is too much. From what I understood of what you were saying, for what I heard you say, there was more accountability for me than I'd like to put there. Yes, it is this other person's mistake. I can't own all of that. I can own how I respond to it, which we've always agreed, but I can't own their stuff. And so what I will tell you, and what I've been saying to you is, the part that you have to own is responding to it. That, you know what? Boom, I'm better for it. Now let's start to break this down. How many times did this person show me who they were? How many times did I have an opportunity to see those micro mistakes before I got to the big mistake? That's how I can go into the world now. It hurts, it sucks. You need to live in this feeling right now because it'll fuel you for the next time when you see a little motherfucker walk around. I was about to say the name, child. You see this person come to you again and you're like, ooh, I dealt with you. Now I can choose to either engage or I can choose to be like, nah, I seen it. I don't like this and I don't like the way it made me feel, so I'm not gonna do it no more.
Yeah, let me be clear. It's not a place of sin. It's just a fact that sometimes you have to have a reaction that even sits you down so that you can look over your notes and say, you say, whoo, what happened? What happened? And sometimes that's an emotional reaction, sometimes that's an ugly cry, whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? You're in that space, but what you are trying to seek is, where was my fault? Where was the things I can control? What can I not control? And to your point, the reason why I feel like, that you are definitely, as you say, in agreement with this, is that in the previous episode you talked about having no regrets. Mm-hmm. So when you don't have any regrets, you believe that just as much as everything does make sense in hindsight when you look back at it, that even though the situation right now really stinks and it doesn't make sense and I don't understand how this could happen to me and this person is wrong or that person is wrong and this things are not working out for me, they actually are. Mm-hmm. Because had it not been for this lesson, it would not have sent me on a different path or a different, just point of view from this point going forward, a different level of consciousness that it can open me up to be able to consider that, what, now that this situation happened, maybe I can't tell you everything that I'm about to do. Maybe I have to be a little bit more selective about, what I want to share and things of that nature, and I'll be better for it.
Maybe I can't have my man around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were gonna say something?
Something that Olivia said just kind of like made me pause, which is what you're saying, looking at how many micro mistakes a person made before the big mistake. I'm just kind of going back and forth in my own mind at how valuable it is to look at something in like such depth, like in retrospect. It's like, I don't think there's a mathematical formula saying, oh, this many micro mistakes, that's when I need to cut it off. It's just like the overall point I think Chris is trying to make is to learn your lesson, like at the end. I don't think you should blame yourself for other people's mistakes. You shouldn't feel bad and be like, oh, this is my fault because I didn't pick up on it when these traits were showing. That's where I think the danger of like taking a magnifying glass in and like reading all the back pages is. you don't want to, I mean, you can do that, but if you're going to do that, be careful because you don't want to end up blaming yourself like, oh, I should have realized it at this point, but I'll let it keep going. It's all my fault. When ultimately it's this person that fucked up. Let them go, and then just move on with your life. And then hopefully the next time that you have a shitty friend that's doing something shady, trying to steal your man, hopefully you'll realize it a little bit sooner, but it's okay if you don't.
But that's how you realize it a bit sooner, is when you actually have that time to sit down at peace and start to examine. Because if you don't really examine, a lot of times people don't realize that you have all of these Freudian slips. You have all of it. It's showing.
Yeah.
It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's
Right.
showing itself.
Yes.
So it's good practice. It's a good practice to kind of sit down. I'm not saying blame yourself, by no means. Sit down and start to examine that, because one thing that happens with patterns is that they don't exist within one person. It happens to exist within a myriad of people. And so what happens is that, okay, I saw it here. I remember that one time when he squinted like this. So you know, when you see somebody else squint like this, you might get the same result of what you didn't like when it magnified itself to something larger. So that's the reason of why it does serve you to kind of look and pull it back. Not to blame yourself, but to check it.
Yeah, pull back the curtain, but don't fall into the trap of self-blame. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay.
And you know, I need to find that balance. I need to find that balance because I put myself in that pocket of blaming myself for the reason that this person literally just hurt me. And I'm like, and then I overanalyze or just analyze, period, the situation. Like, what did I do? How did I just that and the third? And then I go in, I just put myself in that space. So to everyone out there like myself, and touche for what everyone's saying, and I appreciate it and grateful. That's something that I have to learn how to do. I know that there are other people that can adopt similar connections despite our differences and ways of trying to figure out how can you come out of that so that it's not a self-blame, you're not scolding yourself for someone else's actions.
I think it might be harder for people than we're like currently making it seem. It's easy for someone from the outside looking in to say, well, you should have known that when he did X, Y, and Z, or you should have. But when you're in it and you're caring about the person or the situation, that's when, you know, you might be blind to all this stuff. You might be like, oh, that's how they are, but I'm their friend. They would never do that to me. And that's the struggle.
I'm sorry.
I just think, so in that and in dealing with other people, and this is going to sound crazy because everybody has all these expectations, but the only person you really control is yourself. And so when you drive yourself crazy trying to control other people and other people's actions, and that's the thing, that's all I was saying is like analyze what other people are doing so you can recognize those things, because it's like, you can't make anybody do anything, and no matter how much we try, we can have a baby and then be like, you can't see your baby unless you do this, and people still won't. I mean, like, it's nothing you can do, but you can inside of yourself get to that place, which is hard, and like through like reflection and a lot of things, you can kind of push through and be like, okay, boom, well, I mean, maybe this isn't, so maybe it's a certain type of person that I'm attracted to. And it's characteristics about that certain type of person that hurt me this way. You know, when you have experiences time and time and time again, it's not just everybody. It's kind of like, okay, maybe it is something that I am seeking in these people that have these same patterns. And that's kind of what I was saying about looking at it.
Yeah, sometimes I think we neglect our own bit of play. We neglect our own bit of play in that situation, and like I said before, we exaggerate our importance. We exaggerate our importance, and then we end up breaking our own hearts. You know, because we just like, well, I'm all of this, so this should automatically mean that I am separate from this type of behavior, and we have to be able to look at people and say, you know what, maybe I don't mean as much based on whatever they have going on in their life as I would like to feel like I do. maybe I don't carry as much weight in order for me to be as I want to be exempt from that type of bad behavior because that person was supposed to be this or was supposed to be that to me. And to Larry's point, that we have to look at how many times do we neglect other people's traits for how good of a person we are, and we begin to weigh too much on who we are to be able to say that that's how you should treat me or that's how you should be because of who I am.
A lot of this has a lot to do with putting judgment on both sides of this coin. You're putting judgment on what they should do and judgment on what you should do versus just understanding and respecting that things are and let it be. So no one should do anything. They are who they are. Receive them that way.
Yeah.
And you are who you are. Respond, take control of what you can do to what they're doing to you. So the thing is at the end of the day, yes, it is a difficult task to sit down, examine, and kind of like pull all of that stuff and figure it out. But do it without judgment. Don't judge yourself. Like, I should have done this and I'm bad, or am I good, or that's too much. It's too much. It is. I did this, this other person did this. Fact. Leave it there. I don't like this. Fact. Leave it there. If I want to be around anybody and they do this, I can't be around them. Fact. Leave it there. And that will help you get through a lot of that emotion. You just pull all that judgment out of it and just work with the facts. This motherfucker did this, I don't like it, and if I want to be around these kind of people, I've either got to fix myself to ensure that I can deal with it, or I decide, you know what, stay your ass over there, I can't deal with you. And anybody who's like you, I can't deal with you. I can respect your space and who you are, but I can't rock with you.
And to build on that, to accept the consequences if I do choose
to be with you or not.
After I know, that information.
Are emotions a sign of weakness? Starting from this side.
It depends on what emotion.
Oh my God, I cannot.
Because everything is not called for certain emotions to come forth. So it is a sign of maturity or lack thereof if you act out in a certain way where it probably should have and could have been controlled.
This is why mental health.
Who are you though
is so
to judge how someone should respond to a situation emotionally? Because you don't know anything about their past, their history, why they might be responding in the way they're responding.
You asked me a question, I answered it.
and I'm asking
you
you
to judge my answer.
So answer that question. We'll go down the line and then we'll answer the question,
Levi.
Well, I think my answer is obvious that no, I don't think emotion is a sign of weakness. I think it's just a natural response to a circumstance, and however you respond is pretty much more or less out of your control.
I think emotions are a sign of weakness, and I don't like when I become emotional because I feel completely weak. And I would rather not feel those types of emotions because I just don't like that. I just don't like the person that I am when I'm in that space. It's a very uncontrollable space for me, so I'd rather not. For example, if I feel that a particular situation is going to become violent or hostile, because I know the type of person that I am and what I would do, I walk away from the situation. Because I know that once that light switch is turned on, there will be no one that can turn me off. So for me, I feel that emotions are a sign of weakness, and I feel that the strength comes from not allowing yourself to succumb to said emotion.
I just want to pull back really fast. Let me pull back. Really fast! Because I just want to say...
Hurry up.
You got like 5 seconds.
I just want to back up for a quick second and just clarify what I was saying, that you can't really control your emotional response to a situation, but you can control how you express it. But really, no matter, in my opinion, which way you choose, I think it's how you choose to express it can be judged as being a strong or a weak expression, if that makes sense. Like, as far as the emotion that you feel yourself, you shouldn't feel any type of judgment as far as the emotion that you feel, but how you choose to express it is solely up to you, and that you should be in control of that.
Olivia.
This is why mental health awareness and mental health is just such a big topic, or such I just can't even, weakness, oh my God. It's a judgment. It is a judgment. You feel however way you are supposed to feel. You are valid in every single feeling that you have. Exactly what Levi was saying, how you respond, how you exude that feeling or that emotion is where it can kind of get in the weeds. There is nothing wrong with any of your emotions. There's no wrong in it. The same way that there's no right in it. It is. Feel it. Enjoy it. There is no such thing as weakness and emotions. As a mental health advocate and as a person who deals with depression, with clinical depression, I am trying my best not to just scream real loud at these comments about emotions being weakness. Child, go ahead.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think showing your emotions is a strength. Vulnerability is a really hard thing, and being vulnerable to people is how you make that human connection. And the tricky thing, especially I know being an African American male, like we are taught not to show our emotions, which is unhealthy mentally, because you don't know how to manage your emotions. And when you see these people snap and do everything else, it's because they don't have healthy ways of managing those emotions. And they build up and they erupt. And that is why it's not healthy to I'm about to say like what stress, unappropriated stress does to your body, it tears you down, it makes you sick, it causes ulcers, it does things internally to your body. So that's why it is healthy to excrete those emotions in the way that you can.
So sexy.
Oh no, I was just like, oh my God. I agree. Like, I feel like emotion is a sign of strength. My God, we had Lauryn Hill win like 9 Grammys off of one album talking about that sentiment. And the reason why so many people connected to it was because of what they felt at the end of the day. And being able to cry and being able to like exhibit that level of vulnerability is why we connect and have connections, why we have our favorite artists, why we love this TV show, why we can appreciate art and that expression, is because we can see that level of vulnerability. And someone is willing to go out there and step out there. When people are willing to be real, show their emotions, and just feel whatever they're gonna feel, you get the Oprah type people who, you know what I'm saying, no matter where they are, if they feel it, they just gonna cry. Or you know what I'm saying, if they don't get it, they're gonna say, I don't get it, I'm confused, I don't understand, clarify for me. And I feel like that's a certain strength. It's definitely a strength. And I mean, from an actor's point of view, I'm sure Levi can attest to this, you're not going to get very far with acting, you know what I'm saying, if you're not willing to go there. You're not going to get any type of recognition. No one's going to, say, no one's going to Viola Davis you. You're not going to get any type of real, and people can really appreciate that real human connection, because we are human. And to deny that bit of humanness, I feel like, to Olivia's point, it's very unhealthy. We have the ability to cry. We have the ability to be upset. We have feelings and we have emotions for a reason. And to not acknowledge those is dangerous. And you can do very productive things with emotions. I take my emotions to the gym every day, and I use them positively. I take my emotions with me to auditions, to casting calls, to work, and I say, I felt terrible about whatever that coworker said to me, but I'm going to be better for it. I'm going to allow myself to feel that so that it can drive me. because things come from a lot of bad situations. Yes, crying or emotions may seem bad. Like I think I've said this before, diamonds are made under pressure. You know what I'm saying? Flowers come out the dirt. You know, this is just a natural process of life. And so if you ignore the natural process of life, then you're kind of like, you're stagnating yourself.
I got a question for the panel. So y'all mean to tell me y'all never seen somebody acting out, whether no matter where it is, and you felt like in that moment you knew enough to say that's a bit much, or I don't know why this person, or they're like confusing me right now.
But that's not a position of weakness. It is they doing a lot. That is someone who's acting out has not found a way to appropriately express their emotions for the scenario. That is what that is. That means that the question was, are emotions a sign of weakness or are weakness? I'm saying no. How you display those and the timing and the situations and the environment that you display said emotions, yes, that can be detrimental to the environment.
Right, it could be problematic.
It could be problematic, but it's not necessarily a weakness. Those are two different things.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is there's a time and a place for everything.
Yes.
So the emotion itself is not weakness, it's the action behind it,
Yes.
depending on what it is.
Yeah,
How you
like for instance, I'll give you an example. I was at work and one of the servers messed up on the big table, and we're like very, very particular at this restaurant. So everyone is very particular. Anyway, so she messed up on this really huge table, or whatever. Now she had an emotional reaction to that situation. Now, to your point. Yes, if she was at the table and she's just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I just really messed up. I just really, what I'm saying, then we would be like, okay, no, that's problematic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But she was able to deal with that situation accordingly based on the environment and the timing of it or whatever. Now she went in the back and she had whatever type of emotional reaction that she needed to have and let it out. But yes, you do have to, to your point, that if people act out, and they get angry or they get upset and they don't really, they're not using the emotion the correct way. You can have your let out. You can be upset. Find your space, you know what I'm saying, where you realize that is going to be only to your benefit at the end of the day. What can you personally do with it? Don't expect always to be able to give it in its raw form and have it be able to be received. That's why I use art as an example, because when you're able to take all that chaos and give shape and direction to it, that's when it becomes something that is, beneficial.
And what I mean also, what I was articulating, when I understood the question, the first thing I thought of is, crying is a weakness. I don't agree with that. I feel like you should have a healthy, good cry when you need your healthy, good cry. I think it depends on where you have that healthy, good cry. Like if you have a healthy, good cry and you in your pocket, you in yourself, you're in the room by yourself and you just need to let it out, let it out. If you in the middle of a board meeting, perhaps that's not the space.
Perhaps.
That might not be the space. But there's nothing wrong with sitting down, and I want to say this too for most of the men. There is nothing wrong with sitting down and having a good, full-on cry, because you need to get that out of your system and process, and that is part of the processing. It is where you do it, which is the issue. But there's nothing wrong with having that cry session, having that I need to sit there and punch a pillow for 30 minutes. Do it. Have fun. Go to the gym. Whatever it is your process, have that.
What is the definition of disrespectful?
Really? That came out of left field.
The definition of disrespect. I'm going to say it's doing something that you have no positive intent behind, and it may hurt other individuals.
Okay.
I think it's possible to be disrespectful without knowing that, and that it's not necessarily something that you do on purpose. It's just something that disrespect isn't really on. Disrespect comes from the person that it affects and not really from the person who's disrespecting that person, if that makes sense. Like, it takes someone to be offended for it to be disrespectful. I guess that'd be my definition.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I was gonna go with it, because the act of, like, if the act of being disrespectful is also based upon opinion, because for example, a lot of black folks, they get in a room and they say the N-word all day long, but then you have a white person to come in and like, yo, what's up, man? And now all of a sudden the white person's disrespectful. Oh no, you can't do that. So it's like, it's based on opinion.
Wait, the white person's disrespectful or disrespected?
The white person is disrespectful.
I-
Being
I follow-
disrespectful.
If the white person said that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the different
No.
situation.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it just depends on how you look at it, because I don't think disrespectful is based on fact. It's based on opinion and how you feel. Next.
Okay, I don't think that. I think disrespect comes from ignorance and willfulness. Those two things put together. Or they can actually be separate if I think about it, because I can be willful and be knowledgeable as well. And then I can be ignorant and not willful. So yeah, those are the two things.
I think disrespect is like beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I agree. I think it's in the eye of the beholder, but I also think that we can disrespect people unknowingly, which, you know, it's kind of it's funny in a sense, because we don't even maybe don't realize we're doing it, and it's just part of being human. Like you kind of can be a hypocrite or contradict yourself at times when, for instance, we say, oh, I respect you as an individual, I respect your opinion, I respect how you are, but then we can't let it stand. And then we, you know, like we can't allow someone to be, like when we say, okay, like I respect what you're saying, but how can we have both? You know what I mean?
Which is why I say and.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think when people say, like, I think that respect has to come in a form of just humility and humbleness as well, to the fact that you're not going to be able to change people's minds, that you're not going to be able to, you can't always offer a lot of pushback on a situation. Like, sometimes we can be just disrespectful in our frequency. You know what I'm saying? Just keep telling someone something over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that within itself can be very disrespectful. You know?
So Larry said that he thinks it's in the eye of the beholder. I think disrespect is in the eye of the beholden, if that makes sense.
Okay, this makes sense. You know,
Well, I was saying, I guess what I was saying is like, just like I can say that's beautiful because I see it. So like the action towards me, I can say that's disrespectful. Like if I'm saying something to you, what's disrespectful to me might not be disrespectful to you. So something that I might do, I might be like, oh, it's not disrespectful, but to you it is. And it's like, so you are to me, you are the beholder, because it's like, I'm receiving, you know, the receiver, right?
But what
Yeah, I think we're both saying
we saying the same thing.
But what if you're going out of the way to be disrespectful? Whether you received it that way or not, I'm still being disrespectful on purpose.
I mean, but try as you might, like you may come into a room with trying the best you can to disrespect someone, but it's really up to them if you're disrespecting them or not.
That's
You
very
could be
true.
trying as hard as you can, but to them they might be not taking any offense.
I mean,
In that
really?
case, it's not disrespectful.
I mean,
So-
really.
so here's-
But
so-
I mean,
I mean,
right now-
I'm just.
I mean, come on.
But if you're not on, if you don't have another on tree
You know what I
lifter,
mean?
it's like if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't
Right.
make a
Doesn't
sound.
make a sound. Oh, you tried it.
Can I give an example? Like, I like what you said, Levi. Because for instance, like when you're in a restaurant, I don't know why I have all these restaurant references today.
You hungry, child?
I have no idea
You
why.
hungry?
I am actually very hungry. When you're in a restaurant and someone, Bonquisha is on the phone and she is just going in. She gotta be Bonquisha. I don't know. It could be
Sarah's on the phone.
It could be Sarah.
But it's not Quisha.
But it's not Quisha. So she's on the phone and she's just like really loud or whatever, and two people are on a date. Say four people on a date. Two people at one table, two people at the other table.
Damn, that was loud.
Oh, it sucks.
It keeps us together with the time. Go ahead.
No. I'm just and so
That was shady.
two people at the table. To Levi's point, back on track. Can feel that they're being disrespected, but like we're in a nice restaurant, you know what I'm saying? These people are like talking really loud, and then other people could just say, for instance, I can't really control that, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes what people do is they attribute their ability to have a respectful moment to what they're able to control, and so it's like, if I'm on a date with somebody and I really can't control that situation, sometimes people inherently feel like that their time with that person is being threatened by the fact that there's all this noise going on, there's someone being talking. That's why we attribute that to being disrespectful. So it really is like how you choose to look at the situation. Two people in the very same situation could feel like they're being disrespected because they feel like their ability to have a respectful moment is dependent on this outside influence versus people who just see that as like neither here nor there.
When you posed the question, where were you coming from? What were you thinking?
Literally, to give examples to the world, to the masses out there that's watching, what could be perceived as disrespectful and where does that word fit for you? And so my next question to that would be, because like he said, if you find it disrespectful, then it's disrespectful to you. Doesn't necessarily mean that it might be disrespectful to me. So if Levi decided all of a sudden to use the N-word, are you gonna feel disrespected? That's my question to you.
America, I'm not gonna feel disrespected. I know I'm gonna get mad. I can't! I know I'm gonna hear comments. I just would not feel disrespected because I know the character of who Levi is, and so it would make me want to pull back and then try to figure out, okay, so why are we saying this? Like, was it the song? Like, what happened?
So then let me pull a little bit, because let's just say one of the mumble rappers is playing loud in the background and is in that, and we don't know Levi from a hole in the wall, and he comes in the group because he's invited to the party, and he's like, oh, that's my song, in that, yeah, in that, what's up, my ends? Are you gonna feel disrespected? You don't know Levi, but he's white. So
again, because he's quoting the song, and it's not his bad that's what that rapper chose to put in a whole song.
okay.
I'm not gonna feel out of pocket. But if he came up and was like, "What's up, my nigga?" No.
So you would then,
There's a
outside of
difference.
that,
If
you
it's the
would
song
feel-
and we're reciting the song,
Okay.
that's one thing. But if you come over with, "What's up, my no, not today,
So
sir."
why are you feeling disrespected?
I would feel
from that?
disrespected from that.
Hold on, let me finish the question. So why would you feel disrespected from that particular situation if you do not know where his intention lies?
I would feel disrespected from that because I do not know what his intention lies. So if Levi said, "Hey, today," if you said, "What's up?" I mean, I still would be like, but I mean,
Oh my
if I don't know you, and that's the first thing, and that's, I don't know if it's shade or if you coming up, you trying to come out of pocket, like I don't know you. So if I know you, I'm not taking it offensively, and I don't know why all of these eyes is looking this way, because I don't take it like that. For me, I just don't.
No,
Like,
I mean,
I'm just not.
Now,
I'm
see,
not-
that's the character. I guess we was disrespecting her by looking at her. I don't know. But like I think where you were going with that, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that. when
Let me start over.
when it comes to someone's natural disposition, you know, I would just care for you to just be who you are. And I think that sometimes people, they try to do things to maybe be cool or something like that, and that's not necessary, especially to use something that's a little bit, you know, could be touchy in a sense. Like, you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if every time I'm talking to you guys in one way, and then every time I see Leroy, I'm just like, what's up, dude? Are we gonna go hiking soon? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and Levi's gonna be like, okay, well, why does that occur when you're just talking to me? You know what I'm saying? So, in that same regard, like, if, you know, Levi's disposition is one way, but then he comes around black people and he's like, what's up, homies, my niggas? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't mean to say it, but, you know, like when people do certain things in that regard, I think that it's just a little bit disrespectful to the fact that it says, I have to do this or say this to be able to identify with you, and that's not necessary. And I feel like in that regard, that's just kind of a little bit disrespectful.
Misappropriating culture sometimes. Like, so if that's not your culture, like if we were in that environment, I would go to him and say, hey, I'm Larry, so I don't know you, you know, get to know him and be like, just so you know, like, using that in this environment, there's a few people who probably would get offended, and this is why. So, because he might not even be aware, depending on, I mean, because he hears it in songs or whatever, he feels like it's culturally acceptable. So it's not, I mean, honestly, until you actually know that somebody knows, you can't assume that he knows that somebody would be offended by it.
So then I would then go ahead and say, once again, like you said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and the same thing with the concept of what's disrespectful, because to me, I wouldn't feel disrespected if that's how he greeted himself into a situation or into a circle. And I'm only talking about this because a lot of you guys, the demographic, a lot of people out there that are watching are of color of some sort. And so this conversation has been brought up in many occasions, and we do have a Caucasian on the panel. And so my question then to you is, have you used the word socially? And well, I mean, what? So bold and blunt, have you used the word socially, and do you feel that word holds just way too much weight for no reason, and people just need to?
Yeah, I've answered this question on my first episode, but I'll answer it again.
Okay. I forgot. For the new viewers, as far as disrespect is concerned.
I feel disrespected that you don't remember.
I know, right?
No, I've never used that word socially. I think I would really obviously come across as like fake or like trying too hard or like trying to be cool. It doesn't flow naturally for me. I wouldn't use that. It's weird. Like, I don't know.
But then look at it like, okay, so people who watch Power, or if you watch Power at home, I mean, come on, look at it like Tommy. The white boy. Mm-hmm. Come on, I would expect Tommy to be like he said, how many times does he say nigga on the damn show? Like he does. And I that's another reason, like people who are raised in a certain environment as well. Like I have a lot of, from Brooklyn, I have a lot of my friends who are white, who actually were there before the gentrification, and they grew up, right? They grew up around us, and if we say it like, and we almost took them in, like, you know, that's my brother, that's my sister, like, what's good, sis? Like, and we talk the way we talk because that's part of our culture. They were a part of that culture and growing up, so
It's their culture.
It's messy.
Yeah, as someone that's like not a part of that culture and not growing up in that habitat, to me it would just feel like very weird, like I'm trying too hard. I haven't seen Power, so I don't know the character, but yeah, like you were saying, if he grew up in that environment and that's something that he grew up and was conditioned to say and act like, then, you know, I can't really speak to that. I can only speak for myself, but for me it's just like, obviously I'm here interacting with everyone and I didn't feel the need to come into the room saying, what's up, my ends?
I cannot wish you
And so we're going to go completely far left. Can guys receive flowers?
Sure, right? I mean, it's the ability, if you have the ability to send them, they have the ability to receive them.
Is it
Whether they
is it
like
masculine?
it or
Is it
not.
masculine?
Can we go down and make us one time on one topic? Damn.
Honestly, like this question is like, why are we even asking it?
Yeah, it is. I really
Yeah.
wish we could have skipped this and got to this.
Just
We only
because-
got 5 minutes left, so
Just
that's the only
I'm
reason why.
sure Chris is gonna have a lot to say, so let's go
I'm
down the
sure.
line.
Right. Let's just go ahead and get down to Chris.
Please.
Yeah.
Flower man, go ahead.
See, let me tell you something.
That's that you? Was that disrespectful?
Let me tell you something right there. That was my case in point. He said there ain't nothing wrong with a man receiving flowers, but tried to
But try
jest
to
me.
do what?
Tried to jest me by
Are you
calling
saying
me
you
flower
felt
boy.
disrespected?
I'm gonna
in the
let
eye
the
of
viewers
the
have it.
beholder.
I'm just gonna let y'all have this moment. I want y'all to have this moment, okay?
So I'm gonna reclaim my time on that one. What's the other question?
Okay, so I do mention things for a reason. I knew that when I said that question, this would happen. And if you've been watching the other episodes leading to this episode, there's always a reason behind my madness. So we'll close off. What is it in life for you currently that you feel that you need to grow more in, or grow from, or learn from, or be better in? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Close off on that. One thing in life that you would like to be better in. Thinking about all the topics that we talked about today, please go back and watch the 2 episodes before this. All of the topics, what would you like to be better in?
That's really hard for me to choose because I'm really eager to learn more in every category and become better in every way.
And not Google shit right before you're about to talk about it?
I'm talking.
Why you need to be Googling?
We don't need you, corrector. You can chill. And you gonna get your turn. I know you want it.
All right, y'all go ahead.
It's ridiculous.
I just said self-love. That's what I should work on.
Okay. I want to work on not being so emotional. I feel still that the betterment for me would be not to be as emotional as I can be, especially because I am a Leo. Leos are extremely emotional. But the episode that I went through last night was a waste of my fucking time.
No, it wasn't.
But I'm okay. But I feel that for me, it was a waste of my time, and I could have definitely used that time to do something more productive with my life. Acknowledging the fuckery or the fucks that exist in my world is not something that I feel that I should do. So for me, I feel that the better part of that would be not to do that as often as I do. So, next.
I don't know what I don't know, so therefore, I do.
Golden blood.
My answer is my damn answer, reclaiming my time. So if you want to talk about what I need to grow, what Olivia needs to grow, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what I need to grow. I want to be challenged, but I can't make the challenge happen for me. The challenge just has to happen, and then I've got to grow from it. Boom.
So you don't know what you're.
I would say self-awareness. The more I get to know myself, the better I can navigate through this world.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like I need more self-awareness. I feel like I have to continually be challenged in order to grow. I feel like growth, if you actually know what growth is and you look at what growth is, when it comes to school, with kids, with nature, everything is given a set of raw materials and they're asked to make sense of it. And sometimes it's very uncomfortable when you sit in it. And that's why I'm just sorry, I just shake my head to what some people say on the panel as far as you can't skirt your way around the tough situations. Like you have to figure out who am I and how can I use the things that I have around me? It is the most humanistic thing you can do. When the first houses were built to the first tools, it wasn't nothing but trees and rocks. And people said, I got to make my needs be met. And I got to get my hands dirty. I got to put up some sweat and be uncomfortable for a moment. Blood, sweat, and tears is how the fuck you get through life. That's it.
All right. Well, I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Culture Club. Once again, share, like, leave as many comments as you love to. They all love to read the comments and clap back at y'all. Levi, Dontez, because some people out on there. But yeah, definitely share and like and follow us on the Culture Club Instagram, Culture Club ATL. Thank you guys for tuning in. Deuces.